Tempus fugit. I'm exactly where I was 1 year ago. I'm prepared to vote to desegregate. And if my vote should be in the minority, I shall write as strong a dissent as I know how.
After reading over 1,500 pages, I have yet to discover a basis in the Constitution or the 14th Amendment that allows us to order the states to do with their schools that which they do not wish to do.
Well, I was very taken by something Mr. Thurgood Marshall said. The only way the court can decide this case in opposition to our position is to find that for some reason Negroes are inferior to all other human beings.
Hugo, I base my view on the law, and nothing in the law tells us that we can tell South Carolina to abolish separate schools. This country has been making great strides in race relations. A careless decision here could halt that progress.
How do you see that happening, Stanley?
If the American people feel that a bunch of liberals in Washington are forcing their social views on the states, there will be profound resentment.
I've seen the race problem more closely than most of you. I'm concerned about the possibility of violence, massive resistance. What if we say desegregate and they refuse? Can we send the Army into South Carolina to enforce it? Send the Army into 20 states?
I am surprised that the history provides so little in the way of legal footing for striking down segregation.
I find I'm arguing with myself. My heart tells me segregation is wrong. The law tells me not to interfere with the states.
I do not like the idea of segregation, but for 100 years, the South has had segregated school systems, and this court has told them it was legal. We can't just turn on a dime and say tomorrow morning things will be different.
Nor can we continue to say that in the United States of America, all men are equal, but that white men are more equal than others. For God's sake, let's decide the principle. We can remain flexible on how to implement it.
Disaster. This court is expected to be precise and clear.
Felix, you say you're arguing with yourself. Perhaps you'd prepare a memorandum outlining the issues and offering some suggestions as to where our choices lie. Thank you, gentlemen.
You're a man from the hurly-burly of public life, Earl. I'm a man from the private world of the jurist. We both know what is right here, but to you it seems less complicated. Neither history nor legal precedent gives us reason. But there are times when the court must be free to interpret the Constitution based on the changes in men's feeling for what is right and just. The humanitarian goal will have to do. But if you force a sharply divided decision, you will have accomplished no good. You must work to unite the court.
If you write an opinion, I will study it with an open mind.
That's all I ask.
But an open mind cannot change my belief that this matter rightfully belongs to the Congress. Earl, you are looking for a congenial political solution to the problem.
I'm looking for a way to do what I think we both believe is the right thing to do.
The only possible way, in my view, to write a decision to end segregation with intellectual honesty is to argue that the majestic generalities of the Constitution have a content and a significance that vary from age to age.
Yes?
I don't like it, but you can try it.
May I guess why you're here? I will vote to desegregate. If the opinion gives the southern states time. We are not dealing just with law, we are dealing with a social revolution. It needs time.
You read that, Tom. It may need some refinement. I'd like to accommodate your view. Stanley, I've written this opinion in a way which I hope will unite the court.
There is a word that's been on my mind of late. Cryptocracy. K-R-Y-T-O-C-R-A-C-Y. I checked it last night in the Oxford Dictionary. It says government by judges. I do not want to see this court travel outside its authority. It isn't a question of what I would like to say, but what the Constitution will permit me to say.
You're all by yourself now, Stanley.
The fact remains, this court has been given no evidence that the nation knew a century ago that it was outlawing separate
Stanley, we
schools.
have 8 votes to desegregate. Each of us is concerned about history. Each of us is reluctant to overrule precedents. But we are convinced that the law in this day and age cannot set Negro school children apart. Not in the United States of America.
This country has been making consistent progress in race relations. This decision could impede that progress, halt the march. A piece of paper cannot eradicate the fears and prides and prejudices of the people. Earl, if this court tries to force the southern states to change overnight, there will be resistance, litigation, disobedience, and years of conflict. Believe me.
Stanley, I'm a politician. I've worked with the people for over 30 years now. I've seen them in police stations, hospitals, unemployment lines. I'm convinced that the people will accept a ruling that fortifies their inner conscience. Let the backbone come from the court, and it'll strengthen the moral backbone of the people who live in conflict. Stanley, a fully united court will send a signal to this nation. I pray that you'll see your way clear to join the majority. Welcome back.
Welcome back. It's good to have you back with us.
All rise. The Honorable, the Chief Justice and the Associate Justices of the Supreme Court of the United States. Oyez, oyez, oyez. All persons having business before the Honorable, the Supreme Court of the United States are invited to draw near and give their attention, for the court is now sitting.
These cases come to us from the states of Kansas, South Carolina, Virginia, and Delaware. They are premised on different facts and different local conditions, but a common legal question justifies their consideration together. In approaching this question, we cannot turn the clock back to 1868, when the 14th Amendment was adopted, or even to 1896, 1996, when Plessy versus Ferguson was written. we must consider public education in the light of its present place in American life. Only in this way can it be determined if segregation in public schools deprives these young plaintiffs of the equal protection of the laws. In these days, it is doubtful that any child may reasonably be expected to succeed in life if he is denied the opportunity of an education. Such an opportunity, where the state has undertaken to provide it, is a right which must be made available to all on equal terms. We come then to the question presented. Does segregation of children in public schools solely on the basis of race, even though the physical facilities may be equal, deprive the children of the minority group of equal education opportunities? We believe unanimously that it does. We conclude that in the field of public education, the doctrine of separate but equal has no place. Separate educational facilities are inherently unequal. Therefore, we hold that the plaintiffs and others similarly situated, for whom the actions have been brought, are, by reason of the segregation complained of, deprived of the equal protection of the laws guaranteed by the 14th Amendment. It is so ordered.